This is the Retirementality. Thanks for coming by. If this is your first time, we're glad you came by to check us out. And if you've been here before, thanks for coming back. We really appreciate that. And whether you've been here before or not, if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do that. And if you find value in this video, hit the like button. It helps the YouTube algorithm find my videos and push them out to more people. So we appreciate that. So today we're going to talk about debt. We're going to talk about how to get it paid off, a couple different methods. We're going to talk about getting to know your debt, figure out where you need to start. So this is going to be a great video, and stick around. The main focus of this channel is to reach financial independence, and mainly through investing in real estate. But you can't invest in real estate and you can't reach financial independence if you've got debt just holding you down. You can't qualify for mortgages. You can't save money for down payment. So the number one thing you got to start with is getting rid of that debt. Even if you have one or two properties and you've got lots of credit card debt or student loans or these other types of debt that are still counting against you on your debt to income ratio and things, we've got to focus on getting that debt paid off. There's 7 simple steps to go through, and we're going to touch on those today, and we're going to help you get that debt paid off and get you to a better place financially. Okay, number 1. The first thing you got to do is you've got to understand your debt. You've got to know not only the debt that you have, but where your money's going. You've got to have a budget. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get out a piece of paper and a pen. If you're a handwritten type of a person, or if you're a spreadsheet person, get on the computer, make a list of all your debts and the interest rates so that you can see exactly where your debt is. If you don't even know where all of your debt is, you might need to get a copy of your credit report. You can go to freecreditreport.com and get a copy of your credit report, and that'll list all of your debts out there. It's not going to have your interest rate, so you may even have to call, if you've got credit cards and things or some personal loan or something, you may need to call the bank and see what interest rates you have, because we're going to need to know the balances, we're going to need to know the payments, and we're going to need to know the interest rates so that we know where to start to get these things paid off. There are some apps out there that you can use to help you track your spending and your debts. There's Mint, there's Personal Capital. Those might be some things for you to look into that might help you as well. I'm not going to get too far into budgets right now. I mainly just want to focus on the debt and getting that paid off. Once we've got all the debts listed out and we know where you are, how much debt you have, what those payments and those interest rates are, now we can begin to sort of organize that and categorize it and see where we want to start to tackle it, to start to get it all paid off. There's some common sense things we can do here that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, which is, 1, just call your credit card company and ask for a lower interest rate. A lot of times they'll give it to you. And if they won't, sometimes if you tell them, well, I got another credit card offer from XYZ Bank and they're offering me 0% transfers, and you tell them, well, if you're not going to give me a lower interest rate, I'm just going to transfer all my debt over to this other bank and you'll get nothing from me and I'll close my account with you. And then they might say, oh, well, wait, Mr. So-and-so. My boss just authorized me to drop your interest rate from 18% to 11%. Well, that might not sound like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, anything you can reduce on your interest rate, it's more money going towards that principal balance to pay that off faster. So that's a good place to start. And the balance transfers on credit cards is another way to go. If you can transfer one balance from one credit card to another, a lot of times they'll offer you a 0% interest on that transfer. It might only be for 6 or 12 months, and they may charge you, like around a 3% transfer fee. But it usually works out that the money you save on the 0% interest while you're trying to get that paid off is far better than the 3% that they charged you. So I used this method a lot when I was trying to get my debt paid off. I just kept transferring back and forth between credit cards at the 0% and then paying as much as I could in that 6 or 12 month time, and then transfer it to another one and just keep doing the same thing to keep that interest rate down, so that 100% of the money that I'm paying was going to pay off the balance and not paying off the interest, because the interest is just what kills you. And that's why you can never get ahead and get those things paid off. It's that interest that's just eating up all the money that you're paying them. And while you're doing this, you're doing these balance transfer swaps, or if you get a debt consolidation loan, you've got to try to change your habits. You've got to go to a cash lifestyle. You got to just take those cards and cut them up or get rid of them, get them out of sight, and try to start buying everything with cash, because you don't want those credit card balances to keep inching up as you're trying to pay them down. You're not going to get anywhere. So stop using those credit cards. You got to buckle down while we get this debt paid off and get those things paid off, and just try to pay cash everywhere you go. Which that really takes me into number 2, which is stop using your credit cards. If you may not want to cut them up and get rid of them because you may have an emergency, or you may need to, battery in your car might die and you need a new battery, or a radiator goes out, or you need something with a credit card. So you may need to keep the credit cards. When I had my mortgage company, one time I had a lady that just could not stop using her credit cards. And I told her, I was like, you need to freeze those credit cards. And she's like, oh, I don't want to put a freeze on my accounts. And I was like, no, I mean literally freeze them. I told her to take a Ziploc baggie, put her credit card in it, fill it up with water, and put it in the freezer. And that way, if she needed to buy something, she had to physically go in the freezer, take this thing out, defrost it, get all the ice off of the credit card, pull the credit card out. And it just gave her that much more time to think, do I really need to buy these new shoes? So that might be something you could do. Like that way you still have the credit cards. Like if you are really just a person with some self-control issues, like literally putting your cards in the freezer and freezing them might be a good thing for you. You still have them if you have an emergency. That way you didn't cut them up, but it'll really make you have to think, well, it takes you 5 minutes while you're putting it under the sink to defrost it if you really need whatever it is you're going to use it for. Which brings us to number 3. I don't know why everything with credit seems to be around ice and freezers and freezing things. But the next method, this is one that Dave Ramsey has made popular. I'm not the biggest Dave Ramsey fan, but in these beginning stages of handling debt, getting things paid off, getting your personal finances in order, Dave does have some good advice on some of these things. And he sort of came up with this method called the Snowball Method. This is where when you take that initial list of all of your debts that you've got and you see, you put them in order with the smallest balances down to the largest balances. So if you owe $500 on one credit card and $1,000 on another credit card and $1,500 on a third credit card, what he says is it's psychologically beneficial to take the smallest debt and get that one paid off first. And then you've got a small victory under your belt and then what you do is you take that minimum payment, let's say on your $500 credit card, say your minimum payment was $30. So now on your second one where you have a $1,000 balance, you take that $30 that you were spending and you add that on to the minimum balance you're paying on the second card. If you can pay more, obviously you do that. Essentially what's going on with the Snowball Method, if you just imagine once you get the first little balance paid off and then you take that minimum payment that you're making and you add it on to the minimum payment of the next one, and then you get the next one paid off, then you take both of those minimum payments, and that amount of money that you have to put towards each debt just keeps growing like a snowball. So you just imagine that big snowball coming at your debt. Like that. So that's why they call it the Snowball Method. Your money grows as you pay off each debt to tackle the next one. And obviously you can pay more than just the minimum payments. But I want to mention here, don't forget that while you're tackling one debt, don't forget that you have minimum payments on all of your other debts also. Don't let those slide or you're going to mess up your credit score. And then we're going to have a whole nother amount of work to do. Maybe your credit's already messed up because you have too many debts and you can't keep up and you've been missing payments or making late payments. I do have another video on how to fix your credit score, which I'll put a link down below for that also. The next method is called the avalanche method. So we've got freezing your credit cards, we got the Snowball Method, now we've got the avalanche method. There's a lot of stuff going on with cold things here. So the avalanche method, very similar to the Snowball Method. The difference is you stack your debts in order of interest rates. So you put the highest interest rate at the top, you put the lowest interest rate at the bottom, you don't care about the balances. And what you do now is you start tackling those higher interest rates first. And this one makes more sense money-wise because when your payments are going to all that interest, it's not going to pay off your debt. So you're going to make faster progress by paying off the higher interest rates first. So this is just the Snowball Method is more for the people that are just really feeling buried, like they're never going to be able to make a dent in it. And then they see these little victories and then it keeps them motivated to keep going. But if you're already super motivated to get this debt paid off and you have the discipline, definitely start with the higher interest rates and get those paid off because in the long run, that's going to be more beneficial to you. So you can do the Snowball Method with those payments, but obviously once you get the first one paid off, you free up that debt or you free up that money that you're making on those payments. So you can tack that on to the next one. It just, if you have $12,000 on that balance, it's just going to take a while. It's going to be frustrating. So you got to stick with it. And you want to just be as frugal as you can through all this. Don't spend any extra money. Don't use your credit cards. Don't take out extra debt. Don't go out for lunch every day at work. Don't go out 3 nights a week with your buddies to go eat dinner. You got to just really buckle down, be frugal. Try to make your own lunches and dinners, and don't go out so much, and don't buy shoes. Whatever your problem is of how you got into this debt in the first place, you've got to really handle that. You got to change your habits. So number 4, I think we're on now, is sell some of your stuff. Probably the reason you have all this debt is because you have a stuff buying problem. So look around your house, see what you might have that you don't need. Maybe you've got 2 sets of golf clubs, or maybe you've got a snowboard and you live in Texas and you haven't been snowboarding for 3 years. Just look around and find some things that you have that you can sell. Put them on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or however they sell stuff where you live. And I know it's a pain in the ass, but I want it to be a little bit of a pain in the ass, because the reason you have all this debt is because you have all this stuff. So going through the process of taking the pictures, posting the ad, people calling you, sending you messages, and they don't show up to buy it, and it's very frustrating. And part of that frustration, I want to kick into your brain the next time you're about to buy something that you're not going to use, and you're going to think, man, am I going to use this, or am I going to end up putting this back on the internet and trying to sell it, and I'm going to have all that hassle associated with this thing that I think that I want now, but maybe I don't really need it. So this is supposed to make that psychologically trigger in your brain, but also if you do sell some stuff, it's more money you can throw at these debts and get them paid off. So it's kind of twofold there. I'm teaching you a lesson about buying crap you don't need, and I'm getting you extra cash to pay off your debt. You're welcome. So number 5 kind of goes in line with all these other things I'm talking about being frugal. Number 5 is just make it harder on yourself to spend money. We already put your credit cards in the freezer. But I'm smarter than you think I am, because most of your credit card information is saved into all those places on your computer where you're already spending money. So this is going to be a hard one for you to do probably, but go into Amazon and delete your credit card information out, or eBay, or wherever you spend money online. Go in there and delete your credit card information out of there, so that every time you want to buy something, you got to get up and go find your wallet and then get your credit card and then type all that information in. And it's going to be another one of those things that just makes you think, instead of just scrolling through and seeing something you think is nice or cute or you want to buy it and then just clicking buy. When you just can click buy and it shows up at your house the next day, it's just too easy. Now, if you're buy your groceries online or something, that's another thing. If you're buying stuff that you need daily, maybe you don't have to do it for those accounts, but for anything else, you got to make it. If you don't have the discipline, and that's why you have all this debt in the first place, because you probably don't have the discipline, you got to make it hard on yourself. You got to freeze the credit cards. You got to delete the passwords. You got to unbookmark the sites that you go to all the time, and just make it harder for yourself to just fall into those bad habits of just buying things that you don't need. So it's more about just changing your habits. So we'll call that number 6, change your habits. Get out of the routines of going for the $5 coffee in the morning, and change your routine of taking your lunch to work every day to save that money. If you can make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich at home and go and take that to work with you, that can save you $10 or $15 every day if you're going with your coworkers to eat out for lunch. And then the after drink cocktails, maybe if you're going to happy hour and you're having a couple cheap drinks at happy hour, that's okay. But then go home and make your dinner. What you tend to do is you tend to go to happy hour, you have a couple drinks, everybody's having fun, then they start ordering appetizers, then the happy hour special's in, now you're still there, now you're paying $6 for a drink instead of $3, and then you're getting hungry, and then you order a $12 hamburger. So just change your habits. Hit that happy hour and get home and cook your dinner. Take your lunch to work. Don't drink the expensive coffee in the morning. Cancel your cable, watch Netflix, all these little things. Share your trash can with your neighbor. I have lots of other frugal ideas on my website, but just learn to change your habits, and you can change your spending by changing your habits. And I think we're on 7. I don't know. I didn't really lose. I kind of lost track when I go through and edit this. I'll see if I'm actually on 7. So 7, maybe if you're doing all these things, you're not making any headway. Maybe you're just not making enough money. Maybe you need to get a side hustle. Here's a really good tip that a lot of people don't think of to make more money. Ask for a raise at work. Yeah, they're not going to give you more money at work unless you ask for it. You can go in and ask for a raise. And if they say you're not really worth any more money because you're not that good of an employee, maybe it's time for a new job. So get a new job, get a side hustle, figure out how to get more income coming in so you can throw that at the debt and get that paid off. So I'm going to wrap this up, but all of this isn't just about like depriving yourself and being super frugal and never having any fun on in the planet. That's not the point. The point is to buckle down, change your habits, and get out of debt. But you can still do some things that are enjoyable. You can, if you live by the beach, you can go to the beach. That's what I live at the beach. It's free. I go to the beach all the time, and that doesn't cost me anything. You can go for a bicycle ride. If you live in the mountains, you can go for a hike. If you live by a lake, you can buy a canoe for $150 online and go take your canoe out every day after work and see nature. You can go fishing. There's a lot of things you can do that don't cost money. You don't need to go to an expensive movie or an expensive restaurant. Even to have a date with your significant other, you can go hiking and canoeing and do these things that'll save you a lot of money. So it's not about depriving yourself. It's about changing your lifestyle and changing your spending habits. And remember, the end goal is to get this debt paid off so that we can start working towards financial independence. Once the debt's paid off, then you start saving money. Once you start saving money, then you start investing. Once you start investing, you start creating passive income. Once you start creating passive income, you quit your job. Once you quit your job, you have financial independence. You've freed up your time. And that's what everything is about here on the Retirementality. Changing your mentality about retirement and getting your debt paid off is the first step to doing it. So I wanted to get this video out there so you guys can start thinking about this and try to get that debt paid off. And once it's paid off, don't rack it up again. I use credit cards all the time, and I use them for travel hacking, and I get the points, but I pay the balances off every single month, and I never carry a balance over. So I'm not saying credit cards are bad. I'm just saying credit card debt that accumulates is very bad. It's the worst debt you can have. When you learn to deal with that, you can learn to really take control of your finances. And that is what we need to do to change our Retirementality. So I hope you liked this video. I hope you found value in it. If you did, please hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I'm really trying to build this channel up. I don't have many followers right now, so I'm trying to really put out good content, and I hope this is helpful. And thank you for your support, and I'll see you in the next one.